Right then, so this is another extension activity. This one's done after we've done the realistic jumping and gravity. So let's look at the other side of it now. Is we've done the up and down. Let's look at the left and right. So remember that in the middle of our screen x is equal to 0, just here. If we want it to go left, we have to reduce the value of x to become a minus number, and if we want it to go right, we have to increase the value of x to make it a positive number. Right, so far we're doing that with a left arrow event and a right arrow event. On the left arrow event, you can see I'm reducing the value of x, and on the right I'm increasing the value of x. Yeah. But when we run this, it stays at one slow fixed speed. It's safe, but it's not particularly fantastic. I can't even make that simple jump. So, how to deal with it? Well, I'm going to deal with it exactly the same way as we did with the y velocity. If we're taking a careful look, you can see that we've set y velocity to 0, and then we make y equal to, y will become equal to y plus the y velocity. Initially it starts at 0. However, we then increase the value of y velocity, or in this case make it a negative, by taking away gravity. So as we run it, it gets faster. Right, but we didn't want it to go too fast, so we limited its speed just there. So let's do the same with our x variable. So I'm going to create a variable called x velocity. And again, that's going to be a local variable. Here's one I've done earlier. And initially I'm setting it to 0. And actually, initially, yeah, I'm setting it to 0. I'm now going to take the x velocity part here and pull it out of the equation and drop it into our forever loop. There it goes. However, instead of increasing by 1, we increase by x velocity. Oh, stops. So now that is in there. What we now want to do is, because we have changed our velocity to an x velocity, in the same way with y velocity then, we controlled our velocity rather than our actual position, we do the same up here. So set xvel to, well, if I simply make it, this is going left, so if we remember on our left is going to make it a minus. So I'm going to set that to -1. And right will be +1. So it's going to increase or decrease our velocity. Move this up. Okay, so at the moment we're saying that if xvel equals 0, then x equals x plus xvel. It's the same as saying x equals x plus 0, or just x is x, i.e. there's no movement. So in making the velocity, the left or right, 0 means you get no movement because it's adding nothing to it. That's how we start. But if I then make xvel 1, then x equals x plus xvel is the same as x equals x plus 1, so it will get bigger by 1. Yeah? And we get movement to the right. And subsequently, if I make it a -1, then if we come here, x equals x plus -1, or simply put, then x equals x minus 1. It's going to get smaller by 1, so we're going to get movement to the left. So if I want to go left, I can go left. If I want to go right, I can go right. Now, difference now is I've let go of the keyboard and it's still moving. In fact, I can't even get it to stop. Whoops. So this isn't good enough. There's a couple of things we need to do. Well, the first thing is I wanted to be able to make the unicorn go faster if you held your finger on there. So instead of a set to a fixed value, I'm going to go back to my operators. This is, you could use a minus. I'm actually going to use a plus and then minus it. So xvel to xvel plus, I'm going to put -1. I know that seems silly, but there we go. Just for continuity. And plus by 1. So I'm going to gradually increase the value. So what's happening there? Well, we'll take a look at it. What happens now if we change our velocity by +1? Well, the first time round we're talking about x starts as 1, so x equals x plus x of L is the same as x equals x plus 1. So it goes slightly right. But if I run this now a second time, this makes x of L 2. We're now increasing our x position by 2 rather than by 1, so it's going to move faster to the right. It's that simple. So if we run that now, and you'll see, as it falls down, if I keep my finger on here, it's going much faster. Only there's one slight problem with it now. It seems to be stuck in the end. Oh, it comes back. It's going fast. Slow it down. Try and make it come back again. So I'm now pressing the right key as fast as I can. I'm pressing even faster. I'm going to hold my finger on the right key, and still nothing is happening. Something's going horribly wrong. So we've got a problem here. I'm going to run it carefully and slowly and watch. If I just tap the key once, tap the key back, I can stop. So left, right, stops. If we look at our actual xvel itself and our position of x, let's look at these two. Don't worry about that. So just these two, while I'm at it, just to clear it up, I'm going to turn these guys off. There's no need to have those on. Right, now. So our position of x at the moment is minus 73 and our x speed is 0. If I increase it by 1, and stop, and stop. So using the left and right keys, I can start and stop it. Now, I'm going to hold my finger on the right key to try and build a bit of speed up. Here we go. It flies over. The speed's on 11, and you see what's now happening? Is my x value. I'm thinking, oh, hang on, I've got to stop this. Let's take this down. Lots of negative numbers. Hold my finger on the negative. It's still, I keep my finger on the negative. Oh, and it's jumped across the screen. See what's now happening? So, oh, I want it back again. I hold my finger on the right. My x value is shooting up, and all of a sudden, my x value is now in positive. But look at this number. I keep holding it, saying, what's going wrong here? So I make my x value even bigger. It's not bigger. Oh, it's jumped across. Quick, going the wrong way. Let's minus it all the way back to 0. And come on, come back to me, unicorn. Come back to me. Why aren't you moving, unicorn? And we can see why. Look, 3, 2, 1, boom. This is clearly no good. Okay, so in the same way that we limited our unicorn up and down, is when it falls down, let's move that way, it can no longer go further than that. We need to either put a limiter on, or we can do something else which is quite fun. I'll come to that soon. The other thing is, in the same way that we limited how much speed you could fall by to a maximum speed, we need to do that on the x and y as well. So let's take a look at those. So first things first is, before we get to this position, I'm going to put a limiter on. And I'm going to actually set it to, let's do, the x velocity cannot be bigger than, let's do 4 or 5. I'm going to put if xvel is less than 5. That will mean it can become 5, because then we do that. Because at 4, if it's 4, it'll go through, then it'll up to 5, and then it won't do it again. So there's one. And duplicate that. And I can repeat the process up here. Only instead of bigger, whereas if it goes the other way. So if xl minus 5, so it's now on the smaller side. Okay. Boom, boom. Right, so that's the first part. Now if we run this, and I hold my finger on, you notice that even though I tap as much as I like, I hold my finger, that doesn't go higher than 5. And the same in the other direction, goes from minus, I can hold my finger on the minus, and it won't go bigger than minus 5, and in a moment, there you go, you see it's controllable. You can actually stop it in space. So that's helped a bit, is I can now, it's no longer going to go too fast, I can stop it. But I've still got this problem of when I go to the edge, this still keeps getting bigger. Now this is where you're going to get a choice. Now what I'm going to recommend that we do is I'm going to break this into 2 parts. is this is part 1 of the video. Go and stop this video, and then there's going to be part 2. We're going to move on. So you need to copy all of these actions before watching part 2.